Of course, there's a mental side to my sport, there is a physical side to my sport, there's a technical side to my sport, and there's a tactical side to my sport. So I had to break everything down into these various verticals and work on these individually. So for example, on the mental side, I went to South Africa and got my brain mapped. I was there in a laboratory where 32 areas of my brain, I did not even know that there were 32 areas of my brain, got mapped. And, I shot 3,000 shots, and after 3,000 shots, we analyzed that when I was shooting well, there was a certain sort of brain activity that was happening. And then through the use of science and technology, we were able to recreate and get back into that mind space. At that point of time, there was some research, and I read somewhere that yak milk is very good for concentration. So I imported liters and liters of yak milk, and I still have some. So if anybody's interested, get in touch with me after the session. In the test event, for example, we have a test event prior to the Olympics. I recorded the whole final because the sounds of that environment were going to be very similar in Beijing. So I would visualize in samadhi tanks. These are flotation tanks where you have 1,000 kgs of Epsom salt and you lie weightless, and I would visualize and plan what sort of a thought process I would have and link it to every announcement that was going to be made in that day on that Olympic final. I had very bad eyes as an athlete, and I was a shooter and needed good eyes, but my strength was to was on the kinesthetic sense. So I would really base my performance on feeling. So I needed to improve on that area. So I used to train in dark rooms where I couldn't see anything, but that enhanced my sense of feeling, for example. I worked with a deep sea diver to learn breathing techniques, to learn how to get calm quite quickly in 15 seconds, because that was what my sport was all about. On the physical side, I started off, I got into the sport of shooting because it did not involve movement. I was this little overweight kid who hated to move, so shooting was the best fit. But to be successful in it, I also had to get good at it, and I had to be physically fit. I used to run 10 kilometers 5 times a week because shooting is all about shooting in between heartbeats. So I had to have a very good cardiovascular system. I worked a lot on strength training. Manisha, do you remember we were in Australia one January of that summer, and I was training with a sailor. Can you tell who was it, the geeky shooter who was lifting more weights, or was it your sailor?
No, it was the geeky shooter. But the same trip of Australia, we used to run to this clinic every day. And I was jet lagged, and I mean, after running 10 kilometers, he was fine. And I used to sleep the whole day. One time I even missed dinner because I slept from one morning to the next.
Yeah, so then I went to a sports dentist. I didn't even know sports dentists exist. And, I used to wear a denture. As a 20-year-old boy, I used to wear dentures because wearing that brace helped me get better range of motion in my neck. And that was something which was very important in my sport. I used to climb mountains, and one of my coaches used to take me hiking for 5 hours, and that was something which really helped me stay in the moment, one shot at a time, because it was one step at the moment for this unfit kid who had to climb these mountains. In Australia, because I was a little overweight, I was trying to get the best body composition meant for my sport, and I was struggling a little bit with my love handles. And all what I did to lose weight, I lost weight everywhere else, but those love handles never went. So I got my love handles lasered off in Australia to get that best body composition. On the technical side, we talked about Athens, and there was a problem with the floor, so I got the shoes of my the sole of my shoes soled with rubber, which was used in Ferrari tires, because at that point of time they had the best anti-skid properties at that point of time. What else did I do? At that point of time, my two best friends was a mochi and a carpenter, and I have great relationships with these two people because the mochi helped me with my shooting jacket to get the best fit, and this carpenter, who I got from Turkmenistan, helped me get the best grip on my gun. Ammunition, very important to have the perfect ammunition.
He's not an OCD guy, I promise you.
No. This is a good story. Ammunition was something which was very important. At that point of time, the Chinese used to manufacture the best ammunition, but of course they didn't sell it to anybody else. So I got a friend in Hong Kong to buy me 10,000 rounds. We packed it in different branded packages, and I had to smuggle it back into the country. So I had to also become a smuggler of sorts. Don't put me in jail now, but I did that. On the tactical side, also a lot of things that were done. I went on a commando course to find courage and learn something about dealing with adrenaline and finding confidence. I worked with a ski jumper to work on how I would walk in, because ski jumpers require a lot of balance. So they taught me how to walk to activate various parts of my body. I used to carry a pocket mirror everywhere because I used to carry a lot of facial tension. So every half an hour or so during courses of my career, I used to see myself, get this pocket mirror out and see myself and relax my facial tension. And just to end, and I'm sorry I've taken a little while, the most important thing in preparation for Beijing was I had to have a tactical preparation on how to avoid the media, because that was very important. So you know what I did? I carried a book to Beijing, and every time a media person kind of approached me, I would open this book and get really interested in my reading. And till date, I don't even know the title of that book. So, Neeraj, बहुत पापड़ बेलने पड़े थे for this.
So that's